Kylie Jenner is back in the news, and it's because her fans are furious over how fast she has moved on from what happened at Astroworld. Kylie has yet to make an actual Instagram post, but her stories have been quite active as of late. Travis Scott, if you recall, was spotted near Kris Jenner's home playing golf with Mark Wahlberg, Michael Jordan, and Kris Jenner's boyfriend Corey Gamble. Although amid the massive lawsuits he's facing, he did not look very present. At least that's what we gathered from looking at the photos that were posted. I mean, currently he has been hit with over 300 lawsuits, so yeah, that might distract anyone from having a good time. These lawsuits also include the ones that are seeking $750 million in damages, as well as the one that's for $2 billion. However, included in a lot of those are also Drake, Live Nation, and Apple. What is angering Kylie Jenner fans, though, is that she recently posted a short Instagram video showing off her new Christmas tree. And reportedly the tree is decked out with decorations worth over $1,000. The issue people are having is that the father of her children could be on the hook to pay billions of dollars in damages to the victims of his Astroworld festival. In the short video, Kylie also featured a 3-tier electronic wood Christmas story pyramid that was handcrafted by a family-run company called Muller. This wooden Christmas pyramid also has roots in German folklore. Just a fun little side fact for you. But Travis apparently flew to Southern California to spend the Thanksgiving holiday with his family, including Kylie Jenner. But since he was not spotted in this Instagram story, many are wondering if he left right after Thanksgiving to perhaps go back to Houston and deal with the many lawsuits ahead. Shortly after the incident, Travis Scott and Kylie released statements, but instead of them being viewed as apologizing for their actions, their statements were interpreted as being just insensitive. Scott tried to make amends with his angered fans and the city of Houston, really, by saying that he would cover the funeral expenses, but everyone in Travis Scott's inner circle right now is definitely feeling the heat. Before this Christmas tree Instagram story, Kylie previously posted to her stories to wish Hailey Bieber a happy birthday. That IG story was her first real moment of breaking her silence after the statement that she released that I mentioned earlier. A source also went on to tell The Sun that after the catastrophe in Houston on November 5th, Kylie decided to delay the launch of her holiday makeup line, a launch that has been dropped on November 19th for the last 4 years. Travis Scott's attorney, Edwin F. McPherson, also has been going to bat for Travis and said that there has been way too much finger pointing when it comes to this lawsuit. McPherson even took a shot at the Houston police chief for contradicting what he said. Scott's attorney tells the press, "There's been multiple finger pointing, much of which has been by city officials who have sent inconsistent messages and have backtracked from original statements." Houston Police Chief Troy Finner was quoted in the New York Times as saying, "You cannot just close when you got 50,000 and over 50,000 individuals. We have to worry about riots when you have a group that's that young." Yet just a short time later, Chief Finner states the responsibility to stop the show falls on Travis. Despite what Travis Scott's attorney said earlier, though, as with many lawsuits, these put the blame on Travis and the festival organizers, especially for failing to take even the most basic of safety precautions. In one lawsuit it says, "Defendants egregiously failed in their duty to protect the health, safety, and lives of those in attendance at the concert, including but not limited to the failure to provide adequate security personnel to implement crowd control measures, proper barricades, and the failure to provide a sufficient amount of emergency medical support." So far, there has also been no post made to the Instagram pages of Kylie's various companies, and following the tragedy, her only statement was an Instagram post where she said, "Travis and I are broken and devastated. My thoughts and prayers are with all who lost their lives, were injured, or affected in any way by yesterday's events, and also for Travis, who I know cares deeply for his fans and the Houston community. I want to make it clear we weren't aware of any fatalities until the news came out after the show, and in no world would have continued filming or performing. I am sending my deepest condolences to all the families during this difficult time, and will be praying for the healing of everyone who has been impacted." Kylie Jenner, Travis Scott, and Drake are getting a ton of backlash right now after it was revealed that they went to an after party following the tragic incident that took place at Astroworld. According to them, they were completely unaware of what had happened until they were notified at the after party. Kylie and Travis were allegedly partying at Dave & Buster's in Houston at a party hosted by Drake following the horrible event that happened at the Astroworld Festival. According to reports, this is where Travis also was notified that 8 people had lost their lives during his show and hundreds more had been injured by a crowd surge. TMZ reported that Travis immediately left the party after finding out. One source goes on to say, "Travis didn't know the severity of the situation when he arrived at the party. As far as timing, this remains consistent with the fact that no one, including the police, had publicly confirmed the gravity of the events that had taken place." The party that everyone went to afterwards was apparently a pre-scheduled event hosted by Drake, as I mentioned earlier, who also allegedly had no idea that anything awful had taken place during the festival. Another source close to this after-party celebration said that most of them did in fact know that people had died during the show, but that they didn't take it seriously because they assumed that it had something to do with drugs. They go on to say, "Everyone knew people died, but it wasn't taken that seriously because some thought it was drug deaths they didn't realize. But celebrities, they should have just had grace and canceled everything." Shortly after all of the news began to come out regarding the horrifying details of the event, Drake broke his silence on the matter and said, "I've spent the past few days trying to wrap my mind around this devastating tragedy. I hate resorting to this platform to express an emotion as delicate as grief, but this is where I find myself. My heart is broken for the families and friends of those who lost their lives and for anyone who is suffering. I will continue to pray for all of them and will be of service in any way I can. May God be with you all." So far, concert goers have filed 17 lawsuits that allege Travis and Live Nation were solely responsible for the deadly crowd surge. One of the lawsuits specifically is from the family of 9-year-old Ezra Blount. Right now, Ezra is in a medically induced coma as doctors are working to fix the trauma and damage done to his brain. In charge of this legal matter is famed civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Ben also worked as an attorney for George Floyd's family, and in the lawsuit he writes that Ezra was kicked, stepped on, and trampled as he watched other people pick up unconscious bodies of friends and strangers and surf them over top of the crowd, hoping to send them to safety. Ezra was sitting on his father's shoulders during the concert to make sure that he was up and out of the crowd. However, during the crowd surge and chaos that ensued, Ezra's father was overwhelmed by the crowd and ended up getting knocked over. Ezra then fell to the ground from his father's shoulders and was trampled by other attendees before someone finally rescued him and got him to the hospital. According to the lawsuit, his injuries will severely affect his ability to grow and thrive. The more personal accounts that we hear from people that attended the event, the more disturbing this whole situation becomes. There's no question that medical staff and police were not prepared for what went down in Houston. A woman named Madeline Eskins, who attended the concert and confirmed with the press that she was an ICU nurse, said that after being crushed by the crowd near the front of the stage, she fell unconscious. She was then apparently crowd surfed out of the packed area and woke up with a water bottle in her lap and no clue as to what just happened. As she looked around, she claimed to have witnessed other people being carried out with their eyes rolled back and bleeding from their nose and mouth. A security guard even asked her to help them resuscitate other people who had been pulled out of the crowd. She goes on to say in a post about the event, "Some of these medical staff have little to no experience with CPR, didn't know how to check a pulse, carotid, or femoral." She said that some people who had pulses were getting unneeded CPR, but that there weren't enough people to do CPR on individuals that were actually pulseless, adding, "The medical staff didn't have the tools to do their jobs, and despite the crowd around us trying to get someone to stop the concert, they just kept going, even though Travis acknowledged that someone in the crowd needed an ambulance." So my question is that after witnessing all of this chaos and seeing an ambulance literally drive through the crowd of his festival, how in the world can Travis Scott say that he cares about his fans or that he didn't know the severity of the situation until he got to that after party? He shouldn't have made it that far before someone notified him of what was happening. All of those people were there to see him perform, so in a few words, Travis could have controlled that entire crowd and just calmed things down. He stopped the show a few times, noticing when someone had passed out, but I just don't get how you can see that happen and then go on to tell people who want the show to stop that, quote, "You know why you came here." He then told them he wanted the crowd to make the ground shake, which must have just been the most terrifying thing in the world to hear if you're being knocked onto the ground and just can't get back up. My heart really goes out to these poor EMTs that had to continuously work on trying to revive people in this chaos and by themselves in most situations. Another TikTok user who claimed to be a medic at the event said that he was on his way to assist another medic and he had to actually go out of his way to save other people because they were just passing out left, right, and center. Anyone who has performed CPR knows that it gets tiring, so that's why there should always be a team of 2 people. That way you can switch back and forth and really assist each other in saving a life. But that wasn't an option at this moment, and now we are seeing the tragic results.
Kylie Jenner is facing tons of backlash following the Travis Scott Astroworld Festival, where her and her sister Kendall were in attendance. Since then, people have been unearthing old Kylie scandals, and we're going to be listing them in this video. And at number 10, Blackface. Accusations of cultural appropriation of the black community has surrounded the Kardashian family for years, and Kylie was at the center of that debate when she posted a photo in April 2015 where people think she was blackfishing, which is when a white person changes their race to appear black or mixed race. The photo is heavily edited, but in it her skin is incredibly dark. Tons of comments called Kylie out for the photo, claiming this was a form of blackface. Kylie posted a follow-up photo addressing the controversy, saying the photo looked darker because of the lighting, not because of dark makeup. She wrote, quote, "This is a black light and neon lights. People, let's all calm down." And at number 9, the hashtag Kylie Jenner challenge. Back in 2015, after Kylie got her lip filler, Kylie Jenner challenge was going viral online. Since fans wanted to get bigger lips like Kylie, they started sucking on shot glasses and other small objects to inflame their lips and make them look huge like Kylie's. Thankfully, I never actually did this one. I'm surprised I didn't try it, but I don't think I ever actually did it. The challenge caused some hilarious results, but also some serious injuries. Many people were bruised for days following the challenge, but others had more severe problems like popping blood vessels in their lips that required hospitalization. Kylie condemned the challenge, tweeting, quote, "I'm not here to try and encourage people/young girls to look like me or think this is the way they should look. I want to encourage people and young girls like me to be yourself and not be afraid to experiment with your look." But people still faulted Kylie for the injuries. In at number 8, Cornrows. It seems that Kylie didn't learn her lesson with the blackfishing scandal, and the backlash against her got much worse in July of 2015 when she posted a photo wearing cornrows on Instagram. Many fans in the comments called her out for wearing the style. Hunger Games actress Amanda Stenberg shared her disappointment in the comments. Quote, "When you appropriate black features and culture but fail to use your position of power to help black Americans by directing attention towards your wigs instead of police brutality or racism." Kylie responded, writing, quote, "Mad if I don't, mad if I do. Go hang with Jaden or something." Justin Bieber actually came to Kylie's defense here, but it created a huge scandal that got Kylie and the family a lot of heat. Detractors accused Kylie of appropriating black features and not recognizing the history associated with the hairstyle. In at number 7, vintage t-shirts. This scandal happened in 2017 when Kendall and Kylie launched a line of rap versus rock fashion tees as part of their Kendall and Kylie collection. The distressed faded shirts featured superimposed images of the sisters' faces over famous musicians like Tupac, The Doors, Biggie Smalls, and Ozzy Osbourne. Fans immediately called the shirts disrespectful, especially since the sisters were using images of deceased artists. Two of the more talked about t-shirts featured the faces of Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. Even Biggie's mom got involved, calling the concept, quote, "disgusting" and disrespectful. His estate also sent a cease and desist letter. Photographer Michael Miller, who took the image of Tupac that appeared on one of the shirts, later sued Kendall and Kylie, accusing them of using the image without his permission. The sisters removed the shirts days after the release and apologized for offending fans of the artists. And at number 6, plastic surgery denial. At this point, it's pretty obvious that Kylie has changed her looks through cosmetic enhancements, but she won't own up to anything other than her incredibly obvious lip filler. In 2015, after a shocking change in her appearance, it was speculated that she received lip fillers. But for months after, she denied the rumors and said that her full lips were a result of a lip liner. But after she could no longer deny it, she fessed up to the fillers in an interview. She told ABC News, quote, "It's just an insecurity of mine and that's what I wanted to do." She admitted the insecurity stemmed from a boy telling her lips were too small to kiss. Chloe said in an episode of the show about Kylie's lips, quote, "Kylie decided to plump her lips and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think if you've done something though, it's right to cop up to it." It's been speculated that Kylie's had a number of other procedures done, but she hasn't admitted to anything else. Halfway number 5, lied about being a billionaire. Kylie Jenner became a household name after she was labeled the world's youngest self-made billionaire in 2019, beating up Mark Zuckerberg. This label was given by Forbes, who had looked over her finances and determined she was a billionaire. But less than a year after the company gave her the insane title, they actually walked it back and claimed the Kardashians duped Forbes into giving her the label when she wasn't actually a billionaire at the time. Forbes said Kylie had been, quote, "inflating the size and success of her business for years." Apparently it was exposed when Cody bought a portion of Kylie's company, and all the business documents were made public, and the official one showed a lower net worth for the brand. In reality, it said that Jenner's net worth at the time was likely, quote, "just under $900 million, but it has since fallen to around $700 million. And at number 4, fake face wash. While Kylie was first promoting Kylie's Skin, she got a ton of heat for a super cringy video of her washing her face. Firstly, she used a filter while washing, which doesn't let us see how the product actually works. Then she only used the face wash for about 5 seconds maximum before scrubbing off her makeup with a towel. Worst of all, we get a quick glimpse of the towel after, and it's covered in foundation. So clearly it didn't even work to take the makeup off. One comment on the post read, quote, "She washed her face for literally seconds and her foundation was all over the towel. If I did that, my acne would be poppin'." And at number 3, Kylie Minogue. Before Kylie Jenner, Kylie Minogue was the most famous Kylie. The Australian pop star shaded Kylie Jenner when Kylie tried to trademark their first name. According to the US Patent and Trademark Office, in 2015 Jenner tried to register Kylie in the US for advertising services and endorsement services. But Kylie Minogue's team filed their own charges to ensure the trademark did not go through. Minogue claimed it would damage her own reputation. In the legal documents, Minogue's team classified Jenner as a, quote, "secondary reality television personality," known for her, quote, "photographic exhibitionism and controversial posts on social media." Then Kylie Minogue tweeted, quote, "Hello, my name is Kylie, #light years," insinuating she was here way before Jenner. And at number 2, betrayed Kanye. When Kanye was first launching his Yeezy brand with Adidas, he used Kylie in his fashion show to promote the shoes, along with the rest of the Kardashian clan. But then Puma snagged Kylie for their new shoe line, which was a conflict of interest because Puma is a rival to Adidas. In an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim said, quote, "Kanye had Kylie walk in his first 2 Adidas shows. He really believed in her as part of his brand. I feel like this was a conflict of interest." Kylie ended up going forward with the Puma deal and apparently made a cool 7 figures, but she lost the trust and respect of Kanye. Before Kylie officially signed the deal, Kanye made a fool of himself on Twitter, saying that there was no way that Kylie would take the deal and betray his family. Sure, he regretted that after. And finally, number 1, Lourdes Leon. Lourdes Leon, daughter of Madonna, dissed Kylie after Lourdes was invited to a party that she was throwing. Apparently, Lourdes shaded Kylie over her social media activity and selfie taking. After Lourdes received the invite, the source revealed, quote, "She couldn't believe Kylie thought that she'd be receptive to a party invite and has completely ignored her. As far as Lourdes is concerned, she's not going to lower herself to even responding," adding that Lourdes is very picky about who she spends time with and Kylie doesn't make the cut. The source added that her friends are, quote, "much more interested in changing the world than in taking selfies." This was a few years ago, so I wonder if her opinions have changed, but it's very embarrassing to say the least.